distinguished President Vishwanath Karachi, distinguished Executive President of MIT World Peace University, Rahul Karachi, Manthanji, dignitaries on the dais, the wonderful organizers, and most importantly, the brilliant young audience here. A very good afternoon to all of you. The question before us is, will India rise above hunger and poverty by year 2020? First, let's see how we got here to by 2030. First, let's see how we got here to 2020. Where did we start from? Our tryst with destiny 73 years ago, we became a young country and there was abject poverty. There was hunger which was heart-wrenching. Millions used to die of hunger, and it was humiliating for us, for our prime ministers then, to actually go out in the world and request other countries for food grains. We depended on US PL 480, their donations of food grains, but that didn't come free. That came with arm twisting, which they used as policy lever to control India. But I also remember being a child, whenever I used to waste food, my mother used to say, millions are starving and dying, how can you waste food on your plate? All of us licked our plates clean those days. We were born, India was born into poverty and hunger. The literacy rate was mere 12%. We were less than 2.5% of the world GDP. And we produce only 50 million tons of food grain. The abject poverty, widespread hunger, and one more evil we had was great social injustice. The world thought we may not even, they had doubts that we may not even survive as a country, leave alone conquer hunger and poverty. The brightest jewel in the British crown became the poorest country in the world. And that was what our economist and ex-president, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji had said. But from there, we are here today. And what did we do in the meantime? What did our politicians do? What did we as a democracy do in this last 73 years? Successive governments tried to tackle these problems. And firstly, to conquer hunger, they were distributing rice and wheat free, almost at a subsidized rate of 1 rupee or so. And they bought in the PDS system, the public distribution system. And those days, the landless people were the ones that were poor. Everybody who had land was rich. So what else did they do? They bought in land reforms and agriculture land ceiling, and they redistributed the land. They took thousands of acres from few landlords and distributed it to millions of poor farmers, hoping that will solve the poverty problem. Actually, both this worked extremely well. There are two good policies which worked effectively well to conquer the two evils of hunger and poverty. But there was advancement in technology, there was green revolution, our productivity per acre increased dramatically, almost 5-fold. We almost produce 5 times the amount of wheat today per acre what we did in pre-independence. And all these good things created yet another problems, market economics. What happened? The prices of agriculture commodities fell or fluctuated, and the farming became unviable. The landed farmer who was once the rich guy became the landed poor guy. And so the government introduced yet another scheme called the minimum support price for agriculture commodities, so that when a farmer grows rice, he is assured of a minimum price. But these are very complex systems. Policy making is very complex. Economics is very complex. nobody can predict very easily the productivity or the cost of commodities into the future. So these three good things actually solve three big problems of India, but together they created a huge problem. Today there's abundance of food. Today, as opposed to 50 million tons, we are today producing 275 million tons of food grain. There's abundance of food in India, and yet there's hunger. There is phenomenal opportunities that is in front of you, and yet there is poverty in India. Things like infant mortality and infant malnutrition cannot be excused. An infant, a neonate, the stomach is about this big, and all you need is this much of nutritious food. We have excess of that, but something somewhere is going wrong here. So it is the abundance. So it is what is actually happening is these policies, these three great policies have failed. It's a policy failure, but more unfortunately, it's a failure of good and well-intended policies. Why did this happen? I'm an engineer from background, and how do other countries deal with this situation? They have abundance too. Their policy making is evolved. India is known for its technologies and softwares, and technology is all pervading in every area. Banking, healthcare, every area you can think of, insurance, retail, technology is going everywhere, except in policy making. Today we are making policies. Our parliaments and our assemblies are making policies exactly how we were making policies and making bills, passing them and making amendments, exactly as what we did 73 years ago. We are not using technology. I am talking about mathematical modeling of policy making. Let me take a minute to explain what exactly this is. If there's a huge traffic jam every day in this road, a new police commissioner or new chief minister comes, and what he does is he makes this a one-way, thinking it will solve the problem. He makes it a one-way, and the problem becomes even more bigger. Then after huge hue and cry, they revert it to again back to two-way. Has anyone heard of this in their cities? It happens in Hyderabad, it happens in Pune. So what this police commissioner or the chief minister is doing is, he has an idea and he's inflicting that idea on public without actually testing it. So now we have technologies, we can model the traffic, we can implement this idea, we can test this policy, this one way on the mathematical model in computers, and then we can introduce it in the assemblies or the parliament, or in this case, the municipal corporation. So what are we doing today? Our parliaments, our assemblies are inflicting policies directly on the public at large without testing them on mathematical models. And I want you all to check into this. Mathematical modeling of economies, mathematical modeling of tax structures, mathematical modeling of wheat prices. It's frequently done in Western economies before they pass policies on agriculture or even MSP. So three good things can actually result in a bad things, because one of the reasons is we are not using technology effectively. So today what is happening is, the same landed farmer who's producing rice or wheat and selling it to the government at a minimum support price is the same poor man who's receiving it back at 1 rupee a kg. And that is the paradox India is in today. And that is something I think technology can solve, and enlightened policymakers can solve. GST is a great thing. No one can ever oppose that. Demonetization is a phenomenal thing. It removes black money. But the fact is, we have implemented these great policies on public at large, on economies, on tax structures, without testing it on mathematical models. which other countries should be doing. And I think that is the area where you need to go through. And, that's about the past. I'll take another few minutes to go into the future. So that's where we are today. But let us take some few assorted facts of India, where we are today. We have, of course, abundance of food grain. We have great opportunities. But the Indian fertility rate is dropping rapidly. When we were a newborn country, we were 6. Average woman had 6 children. Today, the average woman, all of India, has 2.2. The replacement rate is only 2.1. So by next year, we'll be 2.1. And in many northeastern states, there's a population problem. And the population problem is the population is dropping at unsustainably low. Sikkim, Nagaland, the fertility rate of there is just about 1.2 to 1.3. So there's another problem and a challenge happening. Overall, yes, we are also longevity. People are living longer. We are living up to 70 years. We are hardly living for 50. The longevity was only about 50 years post-independence. But the other facts are, I'll quickly tell you 3 or 4 other facts. You'll all agree. They seem to be unrelated. Let's put them together and project what will happen by 2030. Longevity is happening. Solar energy is happening. Electric cars are coming. Recycling is happening more. We recycle about 90% of our plastic in India because of those road pickers, and the United States recycles only about 15% of its plastic. So we are way ahead in plastic recycling, but we're also recycling everything else, steel, etc. There's also driverless cars, 3D printing is happening, mechanization in agriculture, automation in manufacturing industry, advancement in biotechnology, drug discovery cycles are becoming smaller. What used to take 5-10 years, now the target is to solve the coronavirus by April this year. And 3 Indian companies are in the race along with a Chinese company. It's very likely an Indian company will solve that problem. But even bigger changes is NLP, natural language processing, AI, quantum computing, bitcoins, blockchain. Today, in many fields, AI is far beyond the intelligence of a single human being. And in 6 years, it will be beyond the intelligence of all the humanity put together. So what does it imply to you? It implies that you are not going to have jobs. You are not going to have jobs in the conventional sense, but you will live in a wealthier, cleaner, greener, wealthier and healthier world. So it will be a jobless growth. So how do you deal with it? That is extremely important. And that is be adaptive. Be ready to change not only jobs, but vocations and skill sets. And that's how you actually have to be prepared for the future. But most importantly about poverty. And that is what that is going to change. And that's not technology that's going to change. About that poverty, more than poverty is the disparity, which is an even bigger problem in India. And that you are going to change, not technology. In India, I say the younger generations have no sanskar and values. But actually you have one value which none of the generations before that had, which is you started valuing experience more than assets. You are going to change the very meaning of what is wealth. Wealth and richness was associated with how much assets I have, what cars, how much land, how much this thing. But you are going to change that totally. You are going to redefine the very meaning of what it means to be rich and what it means to be poor. And that changes everything. Today, if I own a car, I use it for 2 hours. I own a car. But you guys, you experience a hassle-free Uber ride. And that asset is going to be used by 100 of you, and it is hassle-free. we had to buy a CD player and a CD recorder. You will enjoy the music without owning any asset. You can go for a trek. You can climb a Shivaji fort, and all these, you don't own assets. And that will change the very concept of what it means to be rich and what it means to be poor. And how do you prepare for that? The most important thing is everything. You're also going to elevate the human experience even more than what we did. A clerk was a calculator. You're not going to be a clerk. None of you here is going to be a bank clerk, or none of you are going to do menial jobs. You're going to do higher and higher. You're going to focus on arts, which can't be replaced. You're going to be focusing on performing arts, sports, entertainment. These are going to be future jobs. But most importantly, I think you need to become emotionally strong. You need to spend more time, network and spend more time with other human beings. And you are the demographic dividend of India. And I am sure that 2030, India will not know what is hunger and poverty, and that is because of your new value system. Thank you.